When Jedi Master Yoda suggested that the ancient Chosen One prophecy may have been misread, it was very surprising. These were not the words of a Padawan or a knight, but the wisest and most powerful Jedi of his time. If Yoda questioned the meaning of the prophecy, then what did that say about the Jedi Order's understanding of the Force, or their role in galactic events? To understand the gravity of Yoda's statement, we have to look back at what the prophecy said, what the Jedi believed it meant, and how Anakin Skywalker's rise and fall put the entire Order's faith in question. So let's break down why Yoda said that the prophecy could have been misread, expressing his doubt in the way they were interpreting it, and whether or not Anakin was the Chosen One. The prophecy, ancient and shrouded in mystery, foretold the coming of a chosen one who would bring balance to the Force. According to Jedi teachings, this individual would rise up in a time of great turmoil and destroy the Sith, restoring harmony to the galaxy. The Jedi assumed that balance meant the eradication of the Sith, a somewhat understandable but obviously biased conclusion. Over generations, the prophecy became central to Jedi beliefs, especially as the Sith re-emerged in the shadows. Many Jedi Masters interpreted the prophecy literally. If the Sith were the agents of imbalance, then destroying them would restore peace. But in that rigid interpretation lay a dangerous oversimplification, one that would prove disastrous. When Qui-Gon Jinn discovered Anakin Skywalker on Tatooine, he believed without hesitation that the boy was the Chosen One. Anakin's unprecedented midichlorian count, instinctive control over the Force, and alleged conception without a father made him a miracle in living form. But Qui-Gon's conviction placed the entire Jedi Order in a precarious position. Should they train a child born of mystery, possibly manipulated into existence by the Force itself? Or should they reject the prophecy entirely? By the time of the Clone Wars, Yoda's doubt had fully emerged. Though the Jedi Council had accepted Anakin into their ranks, Yoda's misgivings remained. He had sensed fear in the boy early on, fear of loss, attachment, and insecurity. These were the traits the Jedi considered dangerous, yet they pressed forward with his training anyway. Yoda's quiet line, a prophecy that misread could have been, was more than just a moment of introspection. It was a confession of how he truly felt. The Jedi had placed too much faith in prophecy and too little in clarity. They believed they could predict destiny, shape it, and control it. But the Force does not follow such designs. It flows, it shifts, and it balances itself in ways far beyond what the Jedi thought they understood. Yoda began to realize that their interpretation of balance was flawed. The Jedi had dominated the galaxy for centuries, believing themselves to be protectors of peace, but in doing so, they may have ignored or suppressed aspects of the Force they didn't want to understand. The Sith were not just a corrupt order, they were a reflection of imbalance that had been ignored too long. As the Clone Wars spiraled into chaos and darkness spread across the Republic, Yoda understood that their reliance on prophecy had blinded them. They had assumed the Chosen One would fight their war, eliminate their enemies, and restore their vision of peace. But perhaps balance didn't mean the triumph of the Jedi. It meant something far more complex. Anakin Skywalker's life was defined by conflict. He was raised as a slave, discovered late in life, and thrust into a galaxy already unraveling. He had little choice in becoming a Jedi, and his emotions, like love, fear, and anger, were never properly addressed, only repressed. Instead of nurturing him, the Jedi sought to mold him. And yet his power was undeniable. During the Clone Wars, Anakin became one of the greatest generals in the Republic. He was a hero to the people and feared by his enemies. But with every victory, he moved closer to darkness. He was haunted by visions, tormented by the fear of loss, and manipulated by Darth Sidious. The Jedi had expected Anakin to save them. Instead, he became their executioner. As Darth Vader, he helped extinguish the Jedi Order, slayed younglings in the temple, and hunted survivors across the galaxy. It appeared that Yoda's fear had come true. The prophecy had been misread. The Chosen One hadn't brought balance, he had brought destruction. Or had he? Despite Yoda's doubt and the Jedi's misinterpretation, George Lucas confirmed that the prophecy was always meant to be true. In his original vision of the saga, Anakin Skywalker was the Chosen One, and though his journey was marked by tragedy, the prophecy was ultimately fulfilled. In Return of the Jedi, Anakin finally broke free of the chains that bound him. In an act of pure compassion and redemption, he lifted the Emperor and cast him into the reactor shaft, sacrificing himself in the process to save Luke, and he went from being Vader back to being Anakin. With Palpatine dead, the Sith were destroyed. The dark side's reign was ended. Anakin had brought balance to the Force, not through conquest or prophecy, but through choice, through love. George Lucas has stated clearly in interviews that this act fulfilled the prophecy. The Chosen One did not save the Jedi Order, he ended the Sith. But Star Wars has evolved. Since George sold Lucasfilm to Disney in 2012, the Star Wars saga has expanded in new directions. The sequel trilogy introduced new threats, including the return of Emperor Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker, a concept first introduced in the expanded universe in 1991. But with these additions in the sequel trilogy came new debates about the Chosen One prophecy. Some fans argue that the prophecy was undone or made meaningless by Palpatine's return. Others suggest that Anakin's sacrifice was still valid. It ended the Sith as they were and restored balance for a period of time. The resurgence of darkness, in this view, is part of the ever-turning cycle of the Force. The new canon has not explicitly redefined the prophecy, but it has allowed for ambiguity. Characters like Rey are left to find their own meaning in the Force, while legends of the past become stories, half remembered and interpreted in different ways. In this way, the prophecy has become like any ancient myth, constantly reinterpreted based on the needs and beliefs of the time. Yoda's doubt served as a warning. The Jedi believed they could define destiny and control the Force, but the Force is not so easily commanded. Anakin's journey from hero to villain to redeemer shows that prophecy is never straightforward. It's a guide, not a guarantee. Yes, the prophecy may have been misread, but it was not false. Anakin did bring balance to the Force, just not in the way that the Jedi expected. His legacy lives on through his son, through the rebirth of the Jedi, and through the eternal dance between the light side and the dark side. So, in the end, the prophecy was true, but its meaning will always depend on who is telling the story and how they choose to interpret the will of the Force. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe if you did, and as always, may the Force be with you.